Hello there, my name is Skywalker, and welcome to the PanicCast. I'm here with Super,
Hello.
Shwin,
Hey.
and SuperGoodAdvice, not to get confused with Super.
How,
It's definitely
howdy.
not a confusing name situation. Anyway, we are very close to the release of The Division, the game that is definitely not anything like Destiny, and we have quite a few thoughts on this, having played the two betas, the closed beta and the open beta, and I'd say there's a fair bit of excitement. Super, not the super with advice, just the regular super. You played a little bit, I assume.
Yes, sir.
So, what did you think of the Dark Zone? And is that enough endgame content for you, or would you want more?
It's never enough. Nah.
Never enough.
Seriously, I thought it was a pretty decent experience for it being a beta.
Yes.
I mean, going in, I already knew I wasn't setting my expectations very high, but it met what I thought it was going to meet,
Sure.
and I felt the experience was good. The drawbacks to it were pretty predictable. I mean, with a third-person shooter, you have to kind of develop the game around certain other aspects. One of the aspects that they use is cover-based, and in a PvP environment, cover-based shooting basically doesn't exist. With the way they created the Dark Zone, it becomes more of a whoever has the higher tier weapon wins. There's no such thing as the cover keeps you alive.
Sure.
No, if they want you dead,
or,
you're dead.
Or it's very difficult to assault a fixed position, isn't it, when players are involved, because anyone with the better cover is going to win.
Yeah, if they have a real good setup, like a certain part in the Dark Zone, I think it's along one of the entrances. You basically kill someone, go rogue, kill like two more people, and then you go up a certain ladder near the entrance with a full team, like a full fire team or whatever, and then you just plop right there. You have a line of sight to the only entrance, and you can just camp there all day. Let your manhunt ticker just go all
Go
the way
down.
down, and
Rinse
you'll
and
get the
repeat.
rewards. And yeah, it's just a rinse and repeat. It's a very noticeable flaw, and I hope it'll get fixed, because if you have a system like the rogue system where it's very touch and go, if you barely shoot someone, it may be accidental.
Yes, that's
You
happened
barely
before.
shoot someone,
Yes.
and you trigger a rogue event, and then you lose like probably like 4 blues and a legendary, or whatever they call it, the superior gear.
Yep.
Um,
The not
you
legendary
know,
gear.
it's just a total killjoy. I mean, you didn't mean to do it. You're trying to shoot something else. They got in the way. It can also prompt people to trigger it themselves by stepping in front of your line of fire. They may be a higher level than you. They just feel like being a douche. They say, "Hey, this guy's trying to kill X and X enemy. Let me jump in front of his line of fire, turn him rogue, and then I kill him, take his loot,
Yeah.
just for
Okay, so would you say you think
funsies."
that that going rogue should be more of a an intentional choice and shouldn't be accidental?
I think it needs to be fine-tuned.
Yeah.
You want to encourage people to
Do it.
place their shots in the right
Yeah.
places, but at the same time, you don't want to punish someone so severely for missing
Yeah, especially with
a
auto
shot
aim
and hitting someone else
or
by
aim
accident.
assist, especially with aim assist, where I had it before, where someone literally just dashed across me. It dragged my crosshair to them and then landed a bullet. I think probably in their left butt cheek, which was all it took to send me rogue, and then goodbye all my loot.
Yeah, I mean, it's a good system. It just needs fine-tuning. I
Yeah, yeah.
think it's more along the lines of it needs the coding to say, okay, was this intentional or incidental?
Yeah.
I don't know how they do that. I'm not a game coder, so I don't know, but they know.
I think for that it is very much like one shot on a random body part is obviously accidental.
Yes.
However, half a magazine into their face
Yeah.
isn't. So like, I get from like a programming point of view, it would be very difficult to split those.
Yeah, I mean it's hard
But,
it's hard to program
like-
intentionality.
Yeah.
Couldn't you just kind of say, like a portion of someone's health if that gets
Yeah, so
that goes,
like kind of
then-
like a damage gate. So like you get with microphones,
Yeah.
something a noise gate where it scrubs out everything to a certain point. It's basically saying you have to do say 5% of someone's total or 10% of someone's total health or something like that, and it doesn't. Yeah, and then it kicks in or something like that, where it just basically prevents it being
Then
an accidental bullet.
you would also, if something like that was put in place, you would then get the people that would shoot you just enough to not go over the line.
Yeah,
Wait until the cooldown period for whatever length of time it was.
yeah.
Because obviously it's not like if you do that over any length of time, it would be if you do 5% of their health
Yeah.
in, say, 10 seconds. So, like, you just get people running around just basically
Yeah.
annoying people.
Yeah, cool.
I think you
Maybe
get that-
following them and shooting
Yeah,
them.
so maybe they would shoot them, but not trigger it, hoping that they would think they're being attacked, retaliate, and then they
Yeah.
would get rogue. We gonna say Shwin?
I think whatever you do, you're gonna get that anyway. Just the way they've designed the game,
Yeah,
you're gonna get people that are gonna do it anyway.
yeah.
So it's
Annoying. There's going to be griefing. That's a given. I think what's clever about the system is that it almost makes griefing a feature to a certain point, which is why I think it works as well as it does. And I think you kind of get away with it.
One of the biggest things I thought with having played the beta and stuff is it can either go one of two ways. Like, it can go really well and everyone's kind of like, okay, yes, it's PvP area, but we're going to work together to get
Sure.
whatever. And like, I mean, I know I was in a team with some of you and we saw it when we'd be at an extraction point. There'd be one team just off to the side waiting. As soon as we'd extracted the loot, they ran in, put down a beacon, and we ran off. And they quite clearly waited because they're like, we're not going to shoot you. We don't want you to shoot us.
Yeah.
We're just going to stand here and wait. Or it can go the way of like DayZ, in which every single
Pretty
person
much.
you meet
Yeah.
is going to shoot you in the back
Yeah,
of the
it's
head
about
as soon as you turn
90% of the
around.
people you meet are gonna try and kill you. Yeah.
So it would be interesting to see how the community goes, or if it does get to a point where there's one group of people being kind of good sportsmen, the other group of people just
Yeah.
killing everyone they see, whether they put something in place to split them into separate servers.
Yeah, I see what I mean. I mean, I one of the things I quite enjoyed was, and it was dependent on there were enough people doing it, is basically just playing as a bounty hunter, was basically just hunting down people that were rogue, because you got quite a lot of points from that, and you got the PvP experience, which is the interesting other side of it. Do you think it would work, or you would lose some of the aspect if you made the friendly fire an option? Not one that stopped you being shot, but just turned off you causing damage permanently to agents that aren't rogue. Would that be too much?
It would work, but I would think they would have to make that a separate server. They would
Yeah.
have to pair those people up with the same people,
Yeah.
because the problem with that would be you'd have like 2 or 3 people. Okay, we've turned off friendly fire. We can't shoot any, players.
Non-rogue players specifically.
Non-rogue players. But, the problem would be, they couldn't initiate that. If they wanted to, they would forget that they're in that instance, they're in that friendly fire
Yeah.
type scenario, and they won't be able to start it. I mean,
No.
it's
Exactly.
more of an inconvenience than anything else.
Yeah.
Could they implement something like GTA does? So like GTA, if you're bad sport constantly, you put into a server with other bad sports, and then they give you incremental rewards for not being that.
I guess that is it. Very interesting. I guess the only reason why that might not work in this case is that they have designed going rogue is not being a bad sport in their eyes. It's a legitimate way to play. They want people. If no one went rogue, the Dark Zone wouldn't be as fun. It wouldn't be as tense. I think a part of its appeal is that Daisy aspect, where it's not quite as extreme as Daisy, where every single human being will try and kill you and take your bottle of water. They every human you come across, it's like, all right, I'm carrying quite a lot of loot here, and there's a very real chance that I'm going to lose it just by someone trying to take it. So obviously the Dark Zone is an interesting thing and it will probably be balanced. Do people want more than that as an end-game experience then? Would they want a more dedicated, maybe the answer to it is more of a dedicated PvE end-game activity?
I'd quite like a mix, actually.
I've kind of been thinking about that. But with the way the story... Well, I mean, we don't know anything about the story.
Not really.
But just the setting and the game itself... I can't figure out how you'd put something like Destiny's got with strikes and raids into that environment. Like, it just doesn't work. Because it's like, sure, you fought through hundreds of enemies to get to this other human being that suddenly is just nigh on impossible to kill. It's like, well, at the end of the day, it's still a human being.
Yeah.
Like, what would you put as a raid boss in a situation where there is only human beings?
Yeah, so I guess so what you're saying then is obviously in the Dark Zone there are some, high level enemies that take, we had one that took two of us putting, 2 or 3 mags each into them, which is obviously it does break the immersion somewhat, way tankier than humans should be. But if you had a raid or a strike, you'd be talking about having an enemy that required, 10, 15 minutes of playtime to kill. And yeah, there's not really, you're right, I can't really see anything in the fiction that would allow there to be something that tough. Which, yeah, basically.
Unless you were just, here you are with your 5 other teammates, and here's a tank. And you've got machine guns. Like, that's the only thing. You would have to be something non-human.
Yeah.
No, I don't know actually. I think actually you could do it if you forget the Destiny element of a strike or a raid. What about if you actually physically had to do a raid of a fortress in the Dark Zone? Okay, so for instance, there's a Dark Zone area of PvE or whatever, and you have to go with another strike team of so there's 4 of you, and then there's another 4. You can only do it with 2 teams, say, and there's tactics have to be involved, and you have to go in, and then you kind of clear out the enemies, and there's obviously different mechanics of different enemies in there, whatever there might be, who knows.
Okay.
And then at the end you share the spoils and whatever you get.
So,
or there could be a PvP kind of raid where you kind of there's 2 teams against 2 teams, but you're opposite ends of the map, and you kind of do that kind of stuff. I don't know. Okay,
so instead of it being mostly centered around a singular boss, which most of Destiny's stuff is, you're saying there are some co-op shooters, they're probably better examples, but to use a very, very well-known one off the top of my head, so there's some of the co-op stuff in, say, Call of Duty's co-op modes, where you'll have one person, going around, and another person with a sniper rifle covering them. That basic mechanic where you've got 2 people, one of them is in one situation depending on someone else, where you could have 2 fire teams working to complete objectives to allow the other one to proceed. So it's still a sort of mechanics-based activity, but it's can't be about tanking bosses.
Thinking about that, there's definitely the main problem with raids would be the enemies. There's definitely locations that you could do it.
Yeah.
I mean, you've just say one of the factions in the game takes over a skyscraper.
Yeah.
That could be the raid, just floor by floor, clearing the whole tower. It's very simple mechanic, just dungeon clearing basically, but the higher up the tower you get, the closer to the whatever final boss or whatever you get, so the harder the enemies will get. Like,
Yeah.
it wouldn't be difficult to implement. It would just be
Yeah.
how you made the enemies
Work with it. Yeah.
seem
It's
end
how
game.
do you make it difficult without, because something that Destiny's been guilty of with, say, especially with Crota's End, is let's make it difficult by just increasing the level of the enemies and making them tougher to kill. You can't really get away with that so much, I don't think, and so they can't really get the difficulty by super tanky enemies, and it wouldn't be that interesting as a move to this area, hold off a wave of 100 enemies, move to this next area, hold off a wave. So maybe there'd be some time limit based things, or maybe they have to escort people or something like that.
Yeah, I mean, even that, like having 2 fire teams going into a skyscraper where there's hostages.
Yeah.
And you've got to get them out, but that means, like, say you had 2 fire teams of 4, and you have to escort the hostages out. That would mean, like, say 4 of you are left up there, whilst 4 of you are escorting hostages out at certain points.
Sure.
So,
okay.
you'd have to. Oh no, it's just
Yeah. So going back to kind of like just to. So Shwin before me was saying about taking some ideas from GTA. Obviously, GTA has its heists. So maybe using the skyscraper thing is to take kind of some of the things that GTA might do in that situation. Is that say there was 2 groups of hostages, or maybe a group of hostages. One, you might liberate them. One team would be then, say, responsible for escorting a pilot to a chopper, which would then go pick up the other team while they were clearing a landing zone or something like that, where you've got multiple groups doing something in tandem to then, meet up for objectives. Because that's what often happens in GTA's. The final heist is that you'll get 2 people assaulting a prison while someone else is bringing in a chopper, that kind of thing.
Although also it won't be quite good to actually, because obviously they've got this rogue thing as well.
Yeah.
Actually, there's a free will kind of thing in it, where actually one team could think, actually no, I'm going to kill all the hostages, and that means both teams have to go against each other, and that's how you kind of.
I was going to say, like, that moment in Destiny where everyone you finish a boss, and then you all run to it, and it flashes up. Shwin has this has received this gun, and then everyone just turns on Shwin. Yeah. You could have it where it would divvy up the loots between the 2 teams, and the teams at the end could optionally decide to fight it out. So they could either decide to share the loot or split it up. That would be really cool. It would be horrible.
But at that point, you would have to have like a certain time limit.
Yeah.
Because it could just be like they could time it just right that the countdown to leave the raid finishes just after you get the loot.
Yeah,
There's literally
so
loot, leave, gone. So if you were having something like that, you'd have to have it so like, so you had 10 seconds to decide whether you want to turn on them or not.
Now, obviously, people could just quit. They could just turn the Xbox off. But maybe there'd be a bonus for not quitting. Like if you let the timer count down, you regardless of what happens, you'll get a bonus. So there's incentive to stay, but then you kind of get a standoff at the end. Or are they going to try and take my stuff? But yeah, she said that it would need to be enough time to let them make that decision, but not like so you're waiting there for 10 minutes or something. Maybe if you
say
maybe if you had this set,
like
maybe if it gave the loot, and to get the finishing the raid like score bonus, you had to then run 30 meters to a door or an escape chopper or a boat or something like that, and it's within that time. Because that's kind of using the extraction zone kind of mechanic where, so you'd have to run there, but then you'd be kind of running while aiming at the team, making sure they don't initiate anything.
But I'd quite like it to make it secret so actually no one knew that you could do that.
If they just didn't tell it, so you mean the first time someone did it, they'd just be like outraged?
They'd be like, that's crazy. Like if everyone knew beforehand they could do it, then everyone would do it all the time, wouldn't they?
Yeah, I mean... Yeah, I guess it would be kind of like the Dark Zone, is that sometimes people would not do it because they would, if they initiated it and lost, they'd lose their stuff. If they'd got something good. I guess you'd have to make sure that there was always a fair chance of someone getting something. Because if it happened like in Destiny, where one team got, you know, some kick-ass armor, a gun, and a cool beanie with a bubble on top, and the other team got whatever the hell the equivalent of mouldering shards was, the team with the mouldering shards would obviously turn on the other team, because who the sod needs more of those things?
Then the way to get around that would just be to make it like Crucible or something, where you don't get the rewards until after you've left. They're on you,
Yeah, that's true.
so if you die, they drop, but you personally can't equip them until after you've left.
Yeah, okay.
So like you couldn't just get
Yeah.
something like an exotic rocket launcher and just be like, well, you're going to try and take me on now
Yeah,
type
yeah.
thing.
Okay. And yeah, and I guess they'd have to make sure that both teams at least got something semi-reasonable. So there's always a do I want to gamble what I've just got kind of thing. Okay. Oh yeah, that'd be very interesting. I really want them to do that now. I'm actually gonna be really sad if it's not there, because it sounds like a fantastic idea.
Just send them this video. Just
Yes,
like,
I know.
Just
Please.
for your dev team to think about.
Please do this. It'll be really fun. It'll be annoying as hell, and I'll probably rage every time it happens to me, but it'll be really fun. Okie dokie. Well, I think that probably just about wraps it up. Okay, we're only a few days away now, so hopefully we'll find out fairly soon what happens. Thank you for listening. Thank you for watching. We appreciate any feedback, any thoughts. Yeah, thank you very much. See you next time. Goodbye.
Bye bye.